Good morning, YouTube. Well, someone tried to scam us out of $40,000.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan and we are at the Howard, and right behind me is our Ferrari F430, which is for sale through our dealership NG Supercars. But we tried to sell it to some guy and, well, he ended up trying to scam us out of $40,000. So we're gonna talk all about that. It's kind of just stupidity, really. It's just stupid as hell. So the guy committed a pretty serious felony, but we're gonna go into that in just a second, or I should say it's an alleged felony. Everything's alleged in this video, so just take that with a grain of salt. But if you want to support us, please like, share, and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and well, again, visit ngsupercars.com and go visit normalguysupercar.com. There you can buy parts and services for your car. And well, yeah, it's just, geez, let's just talk about it because it's stupid. Okay, YouTube, so this is Josh, and he is one of the partners in NG Supercars, and he's here because, well, we both kind of dealt with this guy. We're just gonna call him G-Money, because we're not gonna use real names. So G-Money, he hits us up, and he's like, hey, I wanna buy your Ferrari F430, I'll pay cash. And we're like, well, we're not really into cash, we don't want cash, we don't want, like, you know, literally, like, he meant literally a briefcase of cash. That kind of thing. We don't want that because that's a pain in the ass. I mean, we'd have to go to the bank. And anyway, so I said, hey, the guy wants to see the car. Josh, can you go meet him?
Yeah, Dan calls me and says, hey, I got a cash buyer for the Ferrari. And I was like, cool, let's do this. I was at a soccer game with my kid and I said, Dan, give him my number and have him call me. Okay, so he calls me about 10 minutes later. First thing I notice is he's got a British accent that doesn't sound right off the bat. So I'm like, okay. Then he says, hey, I really want to do the car. I'm willing to pay cash and I'm willing to come right now. And I'm like, okay, God, just in my business or my time in the car business, take every customer seriously until they give you a reason not to. And we're like, okay, we're just going to roll with this. And he says, can I meet you? I said, sure. Go home, get the car, drive over to the grocery store that's near my house.
We also got his license and insurance before.
Right. So I got his license, his insurance. I ran his license number and found out that he'd been convicted of a DUI when he was 18. His insurance had an address that doesn't exist on it. So I'm like, okay,
already
not looking good so far.
Yeah.
Get to the parking lot and he's already there, and I roll up in the car and he's in a shitbox Scion FRS with the bumper hanging off, license plate shoved up in the dashboard. And again, I'm like, keep on going because you never know. Like, it might be a trust fund kid, it might be some guy that just won the lottery, we don't know. He gets out of his car and I start talking to him, and right away I could tell his accent was fake. I didn't say anything. I was just like, okay, whatever, this is gonna be fun. We're gonna have some fun with this guy.
Either way, we're gonna get content.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like, hey, can I take it for a drive? And I said, no, I don't think so. I'll drive and you can ride in the passenger seat. Okay. So we go out on 1431, which is a twisty road near my house. And I scare him a little bit because he's holding onto the seat like this. He's just like, oh my God. And so we get back to the parking lot and he's like, okay, I want to do it. And I said, well, did you bring the $5,000 deposit that I said you needed to hold the car? And he's like, oh no, I didn't bring that. I forgot. Can I wire you the money? Sure, you can wire us the money. Well, it's gonna stay on the market until the money gets wired. All right. Can I get your wiring instructions? Sure, here you go. That's when the fun started.
Yeah, so we texted him the next day and no response, if I remember correctly.
Well, I texted him that night and I said, hey, just want to make sure we're still good. We've got a few people asking about the car. He says, yes. And he kept saying, I really would like to just pay in cash. And I said, no, we're not doing that. I'm not going to carry $140,000 around in cash. Not happening.
Yeah, the next day, nothing happens. Then the next day, it's Saturday. So I'm at a car show and all of a sudden I get a phone call from Chase Bank, which is our bank. And so I answer and they're like, yeah, did you issue a check for $40,000? And I'm like, no, we haven't written any checks. Like, we don't use checks. And they're like, oh, well, someone's trying to cash a $40,000 check from your account. And I'm like, which account is it? And it's our NG Supercars account. And I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, does it have a name on it? And they're like, yeah, it's from G-Money. And I'm like, holy crap, that guy was trying to buy a car. So he allegedly took our wiring information and created a fraudulent check. But here's where it gets really interesting. She goes, well, so G-Money isn't the person actually trying to cash the check. It's two other individuals. And I'm like, well, who are they? And she says, oh, well, they claim to be G-Money's neighbors, and gave a story that he was so happy with them because he's just a nice guy that he wrote them a $40,000 check, because that happens all the time, that people just write a $40,000 check for their friends and neighbors for no apparent real reason. They had gone first to their own bank, and their bank said, hell no, we're not cashing a $40,000 check. So then they went to Chase, and of course Chase was like, this is not normal. So they called me, plus we have a check blocking service. Basically, you can't just write a check from us. It does not work that way. So anyway, so they rejected it and basically told them to piss off.
One thing I should say is G-Money, the kid's 20 years old, according to his license that may or may not be photoshopped, we're not sure. He's into real estate.
Oh, yeah.
Real heavy into real estate.
Made sure we knew that multiple times.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm into real estate.
He sent us photographic evidence that Dan will show you here in a second.
All right, so I'm going to read off a lot of our conversation kind of after the bank stuff happened. I just said, so you care to explain why a check in your name with our account numbers was attempted to be cashed at Chase Bank in Cedar Park? And he said, my name was used to cash a check, ? At Chase, ? I just woke up. Mind you, this is like 11 in the afternoon. And I'm like, yes, a $40,000 check in your name at Chase Bank in Cedar Park with our banking information. I think we need to meet up. At this point, I'm trying to like play into him, right? I'm like, someone's trying to f you over. So at this point, we already knew that basically they're allegedly committing fraud. So I just was trying to see if we can't convince him to be dumb enough to actually meet with us somewhere. And he's like, yeah, I think so. I don't even have Chase Bank. That's why I'm confused. Do you have a picture of the check? Unfortunately, Chase Bank destroyed the check, which
yeah, that sucks.
Which
we could have used that against him.
Anyway, he goes, well, if any money was taken, I can reimburse you. Just let me know what you need to do to help. And so we're talking with the bank. A few hours later, I'm like, hey, did you give your neighbors the check for $40,000? And he goes, yes, I did. And I'm like, okay, you understand it had our banking information on it, our account number? And he goes, yeah, I realized that I got it mixed up with my company when I was trying to send the money through ACH and online. Basically,
he's just full of shit and doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right. So I'm like, why would you have our information on the check? And he's like, to send money to people, it makes you fill out recipient's information. I accidentally clicked on your company without realizing it. I'm in real estate, so I use checks a lot since cashier's checks aren't really used very often. And he sends a screenshot of this like Texas contract for real
Apparently
estate.
he bought a $10 million building. He's a big baller. It's got some other sketchy guy's name on the contract. It looks like it was photoshopped. It's pretty terrible.
Yeah, it doesn't look right. Something's definitely off on this contract. And he's like, proof I'm in realty with this picture. It was seriously an honest mistake, and I'll admit I was drinking and not paying attention. I'm like, you printed a cashier's check with our information and someone tried to deposit it. That's a felony.
He did it while he was drinking.
Apparently. He's talking about reimbursing us, and he's like, you guys can understand if this was an honest mistake. And we're like, we just kind of ghosted him for a little bit.
Oh, then I started talking shit to him, and I basically started calling him a broke ass and a criminal, and he didn't have any money, and he didn't like that too much.
So, yeah, Josh's like, you don't have 2 pennies to rub together. That's when he sent us this video. He logs into his supposed Citibank account, which, if you can see, has apparently $786,000 in it, supposedly. He's like, I could definitely afford that car. I was just having trouble finding a way to send you the money, which if you have $786,000 and you can't figure out how to send someone a wire, something ain't right.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in real estate and you don't understand how a wire works.
Well, he also said that his wire limit was $100,000.
Oh yeah, he did say that earlier.
So you're buying $10 million real estate and you can't send a $100,000 wire? I don't think so, dude.
Yeah.
Nice try, though.
At this point, we're just starting to mess with him. I'm trying to...
You got to show him the picture he sent.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. Oh, and he's like, I still want to buy the car, which we're like...
So he did say that. He said, I still want the car. So I sent him a message and I said, all right, I'll meet you at the bank, bring a bag of cash, and you can drive away in the car. And he said, okay.
Yeah.
So we're like, cool, I'm going to meet him at the bank and get this brown bag of cash and send him on his way.
Which, of course,
didn't happen.
Didn't happen. That's when we're like, okay, where are you, big baller? Oh yeah, and he kept like saying, oh, I don't know the area, I can't find the bank. And we're like...
But he said he lived in Leander, which is really close to where that bank is. So he's, again, it's like, oh,
and we're like, here's Google Maps. Click on the map. It's not that hard. Where's that big bag of cash, big baller? And then we're like, yeah, you broke ass, can't afford anything, but this has been entertaining. And then he claims he got into a motorcycle accident, and that's why he couldn't meet us. And that he broke 3 ribs and his foot, which, if he did, congratulations. Oh, so then he's like, hey, you want to trade for this Lamborghini? Which we're like, no, we don't want this Lamborghini.
We don't want your Hoopty Gallardo
So we look up
with the salvage title.
Yeah, we look up the title, and it says salvage. And we're like, no, we don't want this busted-ass Lamborghini.
That's not in his name, by the way.
Right, the title's in someone else's name. Oh yeah, and then he sent us this picture. Well, I guess I'll blur out his face, but
This is great.
that's his picture. You can see I guess he's just a child. And that's when I called him a petulant child, and I said, hey, you already committed a felony. Maybe you should learn and move on. So we sent this picture to
I
him.
photoshopped a little something for him.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, at this point, we're like, hey, you try to steal $40,000 from us. We're going to the police.
You dude.
Yeah, screw you, we're done with you. And he's all like, oh, the cops are defunded, so I don't think they're even gonna talk to me, blah, 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 they don't care. I had already called the police, actually. The moment the fraud happened, I called the police, like an hour later, and was given the number for a detective who specializes in financial crimes. And he eventually calls me back. So I tell him the whole story, and he's like, oh yeah, this sort of stuff happens all the time. So he's like, give me all their information. So we give all the information about this guy. He digs up everything he can, and he's like, well, I'm gonna give him a call and see what he has to say. And so he calls us 3 hours later and says, well, I got a hold of G-Money. And of course, G-Money no longer has a British accent.
And no longer has a Facebook profile.
No longer has a Facebook profile. So he's like, I started off the conversation by saying, I read the entire, because we sent him the entire transcript of our conversation. And he's like, I read your entire transcript. Basically, no one on earth in all of its history has accidentally written a $40,000 check to the wrong account. It just doesn't happen. Like, period. So he's like, basically, just admit it. You committed a fraud. You tried to defraud these guys out of $40,000, and you're working with these 2 other people. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you know, like totally denying everything. And he's like, well, they're your neighbors, right? You obviously are in cahoots with them. And basically the detective just lays into him, trying to get him to admit stuff. Obviously G-Money's denying everything, and the detective's just beating him up. So the detective calls us back and tells us this story about talking to him. And he goes, yeah, this is one of the dumbest people I've ever talked to. He's like, I've talked to a lot of stupid criminals. This guy is dumb as hell. The good news is they're punting it to the FBI and the Secret Service. So G-Money, if you're watching this, I mean, you're probably screwed.
You better sleep with your eyes open.
It's not going to be good. Basically, at this point in time, we're just kind of letting the authorities take care of it, and thankfully,
it's been fun and entertaining though.
Yeah,
and we learned a lot.
We did. we learned to like really sometimes trust your gut about people if they just seem too good to be true, or if you just don't get a good feeling, just walk away. It's not worth the hassle.
The detective did say that this kind of thing is happening a lot with small businesses. So if you do have a small business, just be very careful giving out your banking information, taking large payments and things like that. And maybe call your bank and tell them to call you if there's a big check that's going to be deposited before.
We've got a check blocking service enabled. Basically, no check can be cashed on our account without us approving it manually. No check would ever work. And then we also have like ACH blocking and some other shit set up so that basically everything that's taking money out of our account, we have to manually go through. So like I get a text message and I have to basically say yes or no. If you have that sort of services with your bank, probably worth doing that. Another suggestion, which we're actually also doing, is we have a transactional account, and then we have like our, I guess, like money account, and we basically leave nothing in the transactional account, and that's the account we give out to people. So even if they were able to pull something, there's nothing in there to pull. So it's just going to be a whole lot of error.
Yeah. And just move money to that account when it's needed.
Right. So if we need money in that account, we move it in there, and there you go. Cover your asses, guys, and watch out for stupid G-Money.
All you can do is look back and laugh at what happened, because it was pretty comical.
Oh no, we were dying. The whole time we're just like, which I have to say, when you get a phone call from your bank saying that someone's trying to cash a $40,000 check, you my heart stopped. I was like, and it didn't go through, right? And they're like, correct. And I'm like, okay, I can breathe again, because it's like, holy crap. I mean,
we probably would have gone a different route if they actually took the money from us.
Oh, I would have gone and found him.
Yeah.
would have been ugly.
Well, YouTube, at least we learned some lessons and we're trying to up our security, obviously. Just be a little bit more diligent in verifying information because we dug up a lot more information after we started getting, you know, some bad vibes off the guy, and obviously after the fraudulent check was attempted to be cashed, we started really digging up on the guy. This is the world we live in where people are so stupid and terrible that they're trying to steal money out of small business. I mean, if someone stole $40,000 from us, that would be catastrophic to us. That's huge. That's a huge amount of money. We are not a big company. It's really a shame that people like this exist. Like this person needs to just go crawl in a hole and disappear. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Check out NG Supercars if you want to buy any of our cars. We got some more cars coming in today and tomorrow. So we'll be showing those on the channel very soon. You're going to love them. They're awesome cars. And you can buy them from us if you're not a fraud. So that would be pretty awesome. So those of you with actual money that want to buy actual cars, we're working with people like you. That's right. We'll see you guys soon. We'll be doing a lot more cool car stuff, so you're going to want to stay tuned. It's going to be sweet.